Hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of this Christmas extravaganza we're running on the channel. Of course we're going to be continuing to show you some crazy frozen builds in Elden Ring to hopefully raise the festive spirits, bring you back to Elden Ring and give you a brand new way to play the game. And today we're going to be looking at a build that not only has an insane weapon that hits like an absolute truck, but also utilizes a load of spells to give you all sorts of crazy range. So if you're excited, obviously make sure you hit that like button and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that way you don't miss out on the upcoming videos this week. And with all that said, let me introduce you to the build. So today guys, we're going to be revolving everything around the Helfen Steeple. So yeah, we're moving away from DPS and mainly going to be focusing on hitting our enemies as hard as physically possible, all whilst using some pretty supportive spells to do catastrophic damage, break our enemy stances and freeze them all at the same time. Now first off, in order to get the Helfen Steeple, you do have to progress quite far into the game. In actual fact, you can only get it once you have access to the Mountain of the Giants. Once you get on the path to the Frozen Lake, you will then be able to go left up the cliff as if you're heading towards Castle Sol, but if you hang right, there will be a little ledge where the mini-boss, the Tibia Marina, will be residing on that ledge. Once you defeat this mini-boss, he will then gladly grant you the Helfen Steeple, and then from that point on, you'll pretty much have the best strength and intelligence weapon that the game has to offer. Not only does this greatsword look like one of the coolest in the entire game, but it also has a very unique Ash of War, the Ruinous Ghost Flame. And as the name of the Ash of War suggests, once you use it, you will then infuse the weapon with the Ghost Flame ability, which just so happens to apply frost damage to your enemies. The other benefit with this weapon is when you infuse it with the Ghost Flame ability, you actually attack your enemies whilst performing that animation. Typically, with most weapons, when you're applying a certain effect to them, you are then left vulnerable for a couple of seconds, allowing for your enemies to basically have a free hit. But with this weapon, it still acts as an attack, so if anyone was trying to pounce on you whilst you're applying that effect onto your weapon, they're also going to get hit, again applying even more Ghost Flame damage and frost damage, again boosting the chance of applying frost. As I mentioned earlier, this weapon does predominantly scale with strength and intelligence, so with the right mix of both, you can have a heavy hitting main weapon whilst also being able to run quite a few spells in your offhand, because implementing spells like any of the Phalanx spells, Glintstone Icecrag, Rani's Dark Moon, or even things like Loretta's Great Bow can obviously make up for the fact that we don't have as much range with this particular weapon. Of course, you can use other spells than the ones that I mentioned earlier, but where we're trying to keep it a little bit frosty to stick with the theme, you're going to see me using spells like the Glintstone Icecrag to essentially attack enemies at range, apply the frost damage, and then when they get super close, just wail on them with the Helfen Steeple. I can't lie to you guys, I do remember using this weapon when I first played the game, and I actually tried using it fairly recently before making this video, and for one reason or another, I didn't really remember this doing so well, and I think that was mainly because I was trying to dual wield these weapons and basically power stance my way through the game, but I'll be completely honest, having the mage spells as well as the sword is a much better combination, so I highly recommend just using the one sword and having the spells as a backup. And of course, in order to have that available to you, you're going to need these particular stats. And I can't lie, spoiler alert, pretty much throughout the rest of the series, our 3 main stats of Vigor, Mind and Endurance are staying the same. So once again, we've got 45 Vigor, 20 Mind, 24 Endurance, but then we've got 40 Strength, 20 Dexterity, 60 Intelligence, and then 10 Faith and 10 Arcane. Again, the Faith and the Arcane are base stats, so essentially don't put any points into those. And then again, with those stats, I would highly recommend taking those points out of Dexterity, so putting that back to base 10, and putting those 10 points elsewhere, mainly into Intelligence, because that way you'll then have access to the spells like Rani's Dark Moon that you wouldn't have access to if you've only got 60 Intelligence, and just open up a catalogue of high-end spells that require you to go above 60 Intelligence. And the reason why I've got 20 in Dexterity is actually for tomorrow's video, because I was using the same stats as I was with tomorrow's weapon, so get down in the comments, have a guess as to what tomorrow's weapon can be. Of course, keep in mind it's going to be a frost weapon, so yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think it could be, and then pop by tomorrow to see if you're correct, and let's see, are you on the same wavelength as me? But just to bring it back to the health and steeple, of course, like I say, if you put those 10 points that I put into dexterity elsewhere, whether that be strength or intelligence, that will boost the damage more than what you're seeing on screen, as unfortunately dexterity is the lowest scaling effect on the weapon, so that would just be my advice from using this weapon as well. And of course, with those stats, we're going to have these talismans to run alongside them. So we've got the magic scorpion charm to boost our magic damage by 12%, the graven mass talisman to boost our sorceries by 8%, so mainly just to boost the damage with the spells themselves. We've also got the ritual swords talisman to boost our damage output by 10% when we're at full health, because again, if we're utilizing the spells, we're going to be keeping our distance, so mainly keeping ourselves at full health at all times. And then just lastly, if we do get up close and personal, of course we're going to be running the Dragon Crest Great Shield, just again to give us a boost in our defense in case it gets a little bit hairy and we do end up trading a hit or two. And then just to round off the entire build with the Wonder Physick, I would highly recommend that you use the Magic Shroud in Crack tier, again to boost damage output with the spells, and it also boosts damage with the weapon once it's infused with the Ghost Flame ability. And then just for good measure, also include the intelligence knot to get you up to that 80 max if you do have 70 intelligence, but then if you don't have 70 intelligence and you only got 60, it will then boost you up to 70, allowing you to use spells like Rani's Dark Moon. I know it's a bit of a mouthful there, but you hopefully get what I mean. And then also just for the armor that we're running, in case you're curious, we are indeed running Ronin's outfit with the black knife hood, just to give that sort of like cold assassin kind of feel, as we've got some badass armor along with our hooded cape. And then yeah, once you obviously got all of those items, you'll be then good to go to be the cold killer that you are, fighting through the lands between, just dealing devastating frost damage whilst also just doing a whole load of critical attacks for fun. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is a completely different playstyle to what we've seen so far in the series. We were heavily delving into DPS with the previous two builds, spoiler alert, but obviously this build takes a little bit of a slower approach, but also deals heavy damage with each hit. It's definitely a good challenge to see if you can complete the game using a build like this, so if you haven't used the Health and Steeple before, I definitely recommend that you give it a go. It is definitely one of the coolest greatswords in the game and is really fun to use, so in all honesty, there's no real reason not to use it. Let me know if you've got any other killer combos using spells and the Health and Steeple in the comments down below. I'm always intrigued to see how you guys can make these builds even better. Of course, we're keeping it going. If you happen to like this video, let's try and get to 150 likes to show the support of the series, because I really do hope you guys are enjoying it, and that is the quickest way of letting me know that you do enjoy these types of videos. And guess what? These builds are going to get bigger and better. We've got 4 more days of this Christmas special, and they're all very, very, very good. So definitely make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the week, as I'll be showing you some even more insane builds than the ones you've seen already. Otherwise guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. Obviously go and get the Health and Steeple, have an absolute blast with it, and let me know how you get on. Have a great day guys, and I will catch you tomorrow for the next video. Bye bye.